Hey guys, in today's video, going to be going over a couple of polls that have come out over this past day. Going to start with the morning consult poll, and then after that go over to the South Carolina Change Research poll. So I was really interested to see what was going to happen to Joe Biden in this week's morning consult numbers, given the scrutiny that he's gone through over the past week over how he's interacted with women throughout his career. And in some ways, the numbers are a little bit negative, but in other ways, not so much. So starting off, in terms of the national numbers here, Joe Biden still leading the way, the front runner here at 32% of the vote, only a change of minus 1 percentage point from last week's number. So you can see this controversy really not affecting his primary polling numbers overall. Later on in this particular poll, I'll show you where it is affecting his numbers, but behind him we have Bernie Sanders at 23 percentage points, down 2 points from last week, and Sanders has been receding a little bit after that big boost he got after making his announcement. Now he's down to 23 percentage points, but still right around the range that we've been seeing him. And then behind Sanders, we have Kamala Harris at 9, Beto O'Rourke at 8, Elizabeth Warren at 7, Pete Buttigieg continuing to climb up here up to 5 percentage points. He's up 2 points from last week's poll, and then Cory Booker at 4 percentage points, and then everyone else is at 2 percentage points or less. And we take a look at those early primary states, and Joe Biden doing even better than what we were seeing in last week's numbers. He's at 38 percentage points, up 1 point, while Sanders at 24 percentage points in a very strong second place here, but down 4 percentage points in those early primary states from where he was at a week ago. And then behind him, with these early primary states of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada, we have Warren at 7, Kamala Harris at 6, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, and Cory Booker all at 5 percentage points, and then everyone else is at 2 percentage points or less. And now we go down and take a look at the favorability numbers as well as name recognition, and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden continuing to have just head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of that total name recognition, and then also just in terms of their favorabilities. You can see Bernie and Biden, when you add up their very favorable and somewhat favorable numbers, you get 74 percentage points to the positive for Bernie, and you get 75 percentage points to the positive for Joe Biden. And then in terms of their unfavorables, Bernie Sanders at 15% total unfavorable, Joe Biden at 14 percentage points total unfavorable. So you can see Bernie and Biden having the most name recognition as well as extremely similar favorable and unfavorable numbers, and then the rest of the group kind of shapes out after that below those numbers we're seeing from Sanders and Biden. And you would expect this given the fact that Sanders and Biden continue to be the top two performers in every poll. It's expected that they would have the best overall favorable numbers from this group. But then going down and taking a look, the negatives for Joe Biden, his favorability has been softening, and I think part of this is obviously to do with the scrutiny that he's gone through over the past week or so. We take a look over the past couple months of his favorable numbers. Those that were very favorable of him back in early February was at 46 percentage points. So that's down 11 percentage points down to 35% that are very favorable of Joe Biden. And again, I think a lot of this has to do with the recent coverage of his that has not been very great. So then also that somewhat favorable has gone from 33% up to 40%. So some of those that had a very favorable opinion have switched over to just somewhat favorable. But also taking a look at his unfavorables, those have been going up as well. So early February, his total unfavorables were at 10 percentage points. Now those are at 14 percentage points. And we'll see if this is a trend that continues with Joe Biden in the coming weeks, or if this is where it stops and maybe even recedes a bit going back the other way. We'll just see how this plays out. Now I want to go over and take a look at that South Carolina poll. And I don't love how they laid out the numbers in this particular Change Research poll, but you can see in this article from Change Research, they polled 744 registered voters in South Carolina. And when Joe Biden is in the mix, he is the clear front runner. And just to read these numbers a little bit easier, going to go over to the 538 website that has all of this different polling data. So you can see here with Biden in the race, he's at 32 percentage points, followed by Sanders, significantly behind Biden here in the state of South Carolina at 14 percentage points, and then Kamala Harris at 10, Cory Booker at 9, Beto O'Rourke at 9, Stacey Abrams at 7, Pete Buttigieg at 7, Elizabeth Warren at 6, and then everyone else at 1 percentage point or less. And there's obviously a lot of African-American voters in the state of South Carolina. So candidates, particularly like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, looking to do better in this early state, maybe in comparison to some of the other ones, really trying to tap into that African-American voting bloc that's in the Democratic Party. But you'd also expect Joe Biden to do well in a state that has African-American voters that are voting at a higher percentage, given his ties to the very popular African-American President Barack Obama. But then we take a look at the numbers when Biden isn't in the race. So for whatever reason, if Biden decides not to run, then you can see Bernie Sanders pulls out into first place at 24 percentage points of the support. Beto O'Rourke in second at 16. Kamala Harris at 15, Cory Booker at 12, Pete Buttigieg at 12, and then Elizabeth Warren at 11, and then everyone else is at 2 percentage points or less. So you can see here, for whatever reason, if Joe Biden didn't run, that Sanders, even in a state like South Carolina where he did not do very well back in 2016, he is polling on top of everybody else. This will also be affected when we see who continues to run and who bows out early and how their support goes to these different candidates as well. But that's where we're standing right now, at least in the state of South Carolina. When Biden isn't in there, Sanders is the front runner, but when Biden's name is in the mix, he is clearly head and shoulders above everyone else. And that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Thanks for stopping on in. Consider subscribing for more poll analysis videos, and these two particular polls I'll have linked down in the video description if you want to check them out for yourself. So thanks, and I hope to see you guys back here for my next video.